Hi everyone, Christina here. Welcome to another card video at my YouTube channel and blog. Today I'm taking part in a blog hop for my friend Kathy's coloring challenge. It's a month-long coloring challenge that just encourages you to break out those stamps and start coloring. So the stamps that I'm using today is called Happy Pandas for My Favorite Things. And I wanted to do a stack of two pandas with the bottom panda holding a banner. Now this banner image, I don't think it was necessarily meant for this panda to be holding it because the two poles on it weren't wide enough. So I ended up putting a piece of plastic, just the plastic from the stamp packaging, over top of this image. And then I manipulated that banner stamp and then picked it up with an acrylic block. Now it's the right width for that panda. So now I'm going to go ahead and stamp the panda in some VersaFine Onyx Black ink. This is a waterproof ink. And I'm going to be doing some watercoloring today. So I'm using some hot press watercolor paper from Arches. And when I stamp this on to this smooth watercolor paper, I'm going to get a really nice crisp impression. And that's the reason why I'm using hot press watercolor paper, because there's no texture on it, I'm going to get a really great image. So I'm going to stamp that banner. And you'll notice I stamped it over onto some masking paper onto the side. I'll need that mask as I stamp a second panda over the top. So first I'm going to finish this banner. I'll add that happy birthday. Comes in the stamp set. It's perfectly sized for that banner. And then I'll go ahead and cut out the banner mask. This is going to protect the area of the banner while I stamp the other panda on top. And it's going to make it look like the panda is behind the banner. So I'll just press that down over the top. And then I'll take the other panda stamp. It's one of the pandas that's standing with his arms up. And I'll stamp him right above the other panda. And then I'm going to go ahead and add some balloons. So I'm going to take the balloon stamp, and first I'll just stamp it without masking anything, and just to get it so it's in the right spot. And then I'm going to take a baby wipe and just clean off the very bottom of that balloon. And I'm going to kind of manipulate the string on the balloon so it doesn't have that curve anymore. It's just going to be a straight line. And then I'll ink up the stamp once again, and I'll go ahead and stamp it one more time. This time I'm going to slide it up so it's not going to cut off his head or interrupt his head. It's going to look like it's going behind him. And then I have another mask that's already prepared, so I'm going to go ahead and place that over the top. And then I'll go ahead and stamp the balloon one more time. And this time it's going to be a little bit lower, so that's why I needed the mask. I needed that mask to protect the panda's face while I stamped this third balloon. Now I did originally mask off that first balloon, and then I realized I wanted them overlapping. So I ended up taking that mask off and then using a waterproof black pen to extend that line and finish off the balloon line. So now I'm going to remove all of the masking paper, and you're going to see how this scene was built. And this is my favorite part of taking off masking paper. It's like Christmas morning because you don't know exactly what it looks like until you take off all the masks. I store all of those masks on the back of the stamp set so that I can use them again on another card. And I'll put that right back into the stamp packaging. So now I'm going to move on to the watercoloring. I've taped down the stamped piece onto a hard board, just a hard surface so that it prevents any warping. And now I'm going to use a size 4 round brush to paint in this image. So the colors I'm using are off to the side. They're actually some Hydrus watercolors from Dr. P.H. Martin's. And I used these particular colors when I was watercoloring this weekend, and the colors had dried on the palette. And instead of adding new colors to the palette, I decided I would just re-wet them and use the same exact colors that were already on the palette. So this color combination was sort of already picked out for me, which is left over from a different one. Speeding up the video process here just to get it going more quickly. I've added shadows underneath the panda's chins and behind the banner. I'll come back later and add a little bit more shading, but for now that's all I've added to the pandas as far as shadows go. I then softened the area around on the pandas' faces so I could add a little bit of pink to give both pandas a little bit of a blush. Now I realize in real life pandas don't really blush like this, but I thought it was really cute. So I'm adding some colors all around the outside of the area, and I'm just kind of picking up colors off my palette and kind of extending it out as I go all the way around. I want to make sure I have sort of a nice soft background. And as far as the colors at the very bottom go, I'm using a little bit more of a navy blue, kind of dark purple color to make it look like there's a little bit more of some ground underneath the pandas. Adding in a few more shades on the balloons just to get those looking a little bit more saturated. And then I'm going to go ahead and take my heat tool and dry everything. I want to make sure that it's completely dry before I remove it from the board. So I'll just use my heat tool to speed up the drying process. And as soon as everything is dry, I'll go ahead and remove it from the board. I realized I forgot to paint the banner, so after I removed it from the board, I painted that banner with a really pale purple, and then I used my heat tool once again to make sure that was completely dry. So I cut down this piece to be 4.5 by 5.5, and I'm going to be putting it on a 5x7 card. So I'm prepping some white cardstock here as a card base. This is Basil Marshmallow cardstock, and I'm scoring it at 5 inches to create a side folding 5x7 card. I then used some Tombow Extreme adhesive on the back of the watercolor piece, and I adhered that down onto the front of the card. Now, even though I did quite a bit of watercoloring all over this paper here, it actually held up really well and didn't warp at all. So I just adhered it straight down onto the card front. I then took a white Jelly Roll pen and added some details onto the balloons. I added little hearts to the red balloon, small dots to the purple, and then outlined circles to the green balloon. I also added some clear Wink of Stella glitter brush pen over the top, and I realized that Wink of Stella really softened the white edges on everything, and I liked how that looked. So I'm just adding a little more shimmer, and then I realized I wanted just a couple more hearts on that pink balloon, so I'll grab my white gel pen and add those in. So I'm going to add some sequins to the outer area around this scene here. I'm using Darice crystal sequins in 8mm and 5mm. And a few of you asked about this container that I have all my sequins in. It's a Craftmate lockable container. I'll have it linked down in the supplies. It's my favorite way to store sequins, and it keeps everything nice and organized. So I'm using my tweezers and also some Ranger Multimedia Matte with a Quilled Precision tip on the bottle to adhere the sequins down onto my card. I find that this is the most secure way to adhere sequins, and even when I send cards in the mail, the sequins don't come off. I usually just put another piece of paper over top and then slide it in the envelope. So that's the card for today. I hope you guys enjoyed. Please join me over at my blog for the blog hop. And then if you would like to participate in the coloring challenge, you can just color a little bit every day for the month of February. Just make sure you use that hashtag, the Daily Marker 30 Day, to participate in the challenge. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys next time.